Add to stream. There you go. So I'm still figuring this podcast thing out. What's up, everybody? Max Uhas here from Cannabis Marketing Solutions, dopeseo.com, and the Dope Marketing Podcast, and soon to be a lot more media stuff and whatever. And look, today we're going to talk about avoiding a hostage situation with your marketing company. All right, because once again, this has happened where we took on a new client. And, we're dealing with this situation where eventually they got paid, 5 figures a month. I want to say it was close to like $12,000 or $13,000 a month to do some digital marketing for a client that literally just brought it, that just hired us on, and did zero, did basically almost nothing in regards to work. And now we're dealing with a situation to where we come in and we're trying to make the necessary updates that they didn't do. And the sales pitch in the email, because I'm going back and forth with them saying like, hey, because I'm trying to reverse engineer exactly what they did on this website. And, their responses is, well, this is all a custom coded blah, blah, blah. And maybe they want to hire us back to do more custom coding on the website. Now, this to me is a hostage situation because, and we've seen it a lot. We saw it before with, before we just got into the cannabis space. This is kind of like a way that a lot of quote unquote agencies and digital marketing companies keep their revenue coming in, is that instead of just building something that works, they build something that's going to keep you paying for it. It's kind of like, if you go back, like, old stuff, like old cars, old appliances, like they built them to last, and whereas like now it's just like, oh, trust me, when your manufacturer's warranty is up in 3 years, you should expect your refrigerator to die in 3 years, regardless of how much you paid for it. And that's essentially that's essentially like what a lot of marketing companies, what a lot of web design companies do, is that instead of actually building you something that you can use and that you can like functionally go in and like change on or update, they build this out so that it's this quote unquote custom coded piece of crap that requires you to pay them for every single change that you want done on a website. Which to me is really, really shitty. It's a really shitty way of doing business. It's a really shitty way of retaining clients, because it's not like a, hey, I want to pay you. It's more like a, fuck, I have to pay you situation. And to me, it's just bad business. But unfortunately, like that's how a lot of these guys keep their monthly recurring revenue. That's how they keep people on retainer. Or they lock you into this like ridiculous contract to where it's like you guarantee to pay us XYZ a month every month for 6 to 12 months. Oh, and with this caveat in the fine print that says like, hey, we own all your content, we own all this, we own all that. And I can go into horror story after horror story after horror story of how we've had to like literally go in and do like spec ops rescue missions for for some clients, because they literally were being held hostage by their digital marketing company, to where essentially like the digital marketing company owns or like created and manages all of their social profiles, all of their website, their domain, their email logins, their Facebook logins, their Instagram logins. And that's scary. Like if you think about this, like you're a business owner, right? You're a business owner. This is your business. You're paying someone to manage this. And meanwhile, they're essentially getting paid to take over your business if you don't pay them anymore. That to me is, I mean, if this was like a dating relationship, that's like the pure definition of like a toxic relationship, That's like the pure definition of like, let's just see what happens when I change my name here. I kind of like the bubble. That's like the pure definition of like, hey, baby, you don't need to work because I'll take care of you. And, but meanwhile, like you'll never have enough money to leave me. So you're like kind of stuck in this relationship no matter what I do. And that goes both ways, guys and girls. So sometimes eventually you get fed up and you leave. And then other times you're like, well, I'm just stuck. And then, but if you were dating someone or if you were married to someone, like that's never a good thing. On a business relationship, that's it probably goes both ways, but from a business relationship, that's a terrible thing because let's just say hypothetically, your business, like I'm just going to backtrack, right? So, by the way, thanks for listening. This is the second episode. I got really excited. I've been meaning to do more episodes. We've just got really busy with client influx and calls, and it seems to be like the beginning of the year, and everybody's like, "Ooh, we want to do our marketing." So it's a lot of meetings and a lot of onboarding. And this new client that we just onboarded literally just sparked this because this has always been a hot button for me. And there's a reason why we don't do contracts unless we're doing some sort of rev share deal, because we do have some rev share deals with some people to where like, hey, I understand you don't have a massively huge budget, but as a trade, we're going to get a piece of every single dollar you make because we're doing this at a discount. But when it comes to something like that, that requires a contract. But when it comes to just regular work, like we don't do contracts. So back to this. Last year we had a client who came on board, and I'm talking, this guy's company was doing roughly $250,000 a month. It's an ecom company, right? He was getting billed for almost a year for services that were never rendered. I'm talking like this new website redesign. He was getting billed for like a year for a website redesign. He was getting billed every month for a year, like just for a ton of work. And this was one of these things to where it was a custom coded website that literally could not be updated because the custom code would break every time there was a new update, and this was a WordPress site, it was a WooCommerce site, whatever, but the custom code would break every time there was an update. So these guys had literally not updated the website in over 2 years, possibly 4 years. And from a security standpoint, well, for one, there's so many things wrong with that, right? From a site speed level, from an SEO level, from a marketing level, from a like, yo, this shit looks like it's 5 years, like 5 or 10 years old level. But also like from if we're managing somebody's site, we're doing the updates. We're making sure that the updates don't break your site because we want your site to be secure, right? So what ended up happening was this guy's site got hacked multiple times to the point where he had code in there that was so malicious that it was reading his customers' credit cards, and people were getting their credit cards hijacked by using his website, right? And I mean, there were it was so bad. And the marketing company that was managing this, their response was, "Oh, we'll just revert it back to before the hack." So that would wipe all the transaction data, that would wipe all the sales, that would wipe all the other stuff. But it would also essentially it wasn't even like a Band-Aid. It was almost, it was a repeating process to where the site would crash, the site would go down, the site would get hacked, whatever. And I mean, I'm on the phone with the guy and he's essentially like losing his mind because he's like, I'm losing my business. My website's been down for 5 days. They haven't put it back up. I'm losing money every single day. And these guys suck. So essentially what we had to do is we had to go in and we had to backdoor them, and we had to basically, for one, clone his site, for two, rebuild his entire website. And then like more or less, well, he was smart. He actually has a lawyer on retainer, and his lawyer sent a very wonderful letter, because essentially what they were doing was theft. because they were sending him invoices for work with no, but it wasn't even like an invoice. It was like an auto charge on his card for work that was never, ever being done. It was like, well, what are these for? Well, these are for the websites. And it's like, hey, well, what website? Because I haven't seen a mock-up or a working exam. And for one, if you're paying somebody for, and I think it was like $5,000 a month for this website redesign. If you're paying somebody $5,000 a month, and let's just say that goes 6 months, that's $30,000, right? A $30,000 website should blow your mind. It should not look like one of your overseas interns or $3 an hour workers just pulled together some template thing off of Elementor or some other, whatever those fucking stupid theme sites are that we never use. It shouldn't and it essentially, like, you just copied the code from the old site into the new theme, and it doesn't even look any different, and it's still broken, and you still can't update it. But essentially, like, we saved them. They're doing very well now, and they're very grateful, and they pay us every month, and their business is making money every month. But this new client, once again, because this like sparks it, because this happens so many times to where it's like, oh, well, we own your site, and we own this, and we own that, and we, the response from the original dev team wasn't like, oh yeah, hey, I'll show you how to make the changes. The response team was like, oh, well, this is a very serious amount of custom coding. Meanwhile, I went through and like itemized each page. I have a massive spreadsheet of like every page on the website, and I'm like, none of this matches. It's all broken. It doesn't line up. Your custom code is broken. I just want to fix it. You know what I mean? Like, we got paid. We got paid to work on this website. We want to fix it. And thankfully, this is a very responsive customer, not one that just like disappears for 3 months or a month or 3 weeks and then goes, hey, I haven't heard from you. And it's like, we've been emailing you, you haven't responded, or we're waiting on your response. But it just pisses me off. So here's what I'm going to say. If you're looking, and this isn't like a pitch to like hire us, this is just a pitch to be like, to be aware and be careful of what's going on. You should always own your hosting. You should always own your own domain. You should create the logins for everything and then pass them along to your dev. Do not let them create it for you and you not have access to it, because that makes no sense, right? And then the other thing is that, like, if somebody pulls some sort of contract deal with you, or if they're saying like, hey, we're going to do this whole custom coded nonsense, run. Unless you want to be in a pseudo hostage situation to where you're going to be forced to now keep them on, because that was the other thing too. It was essentially like they were supposed to have this website done 2 months ago, and it's still not finished, and there's still a bunch of blank pages, and there's still a bunch of work that needs to be done, and it's not done. But they're on this quote unquote retainer, and the retainer's over, and the work's not finished. So whatever. I'm just telling you this. When it comes to your website is incredibly important to the success of your business. You should not ever be put into a situation to where you feel forced to work with a company if you don't want to, especially if they're not doing the work that you're asking them to do. And there's a lot of great companies out there, and there's just so many shitty ones that legitimately, like, their whole business model is, we'll get you to sign up on retainer, and we'll get you to sign this fine print contract where it says like, we own your list, and we own your email list, and we own your customer database, and we own all the content on your website. And if you ever break the contract, we can take your website down, because I've also seen that happen. It's just bad business, and it's bad for the industry, but that's like a working model for a lot of digital marketing agencies. So essentially, read the fine print. If somebody wants you to sign a contract, read the fine print and then make revisions on it if you need to. But also, like, if read the reviews on a company. The other thing is that if there's a digital marketing company that essentially they're a web design company, but they're offering you SEO or some other stuff, and their site doesn't rank for anything outside of their brand name, or you should be very, very suspicious of that, because to me, it's like an SEO company should rank for keywords. They should be able to show up and be like, hey, this is what this as proof of concept, right? Like a social media company should have a following. Yeah, I mean, it would just make sense, right? Like a restaurant should have a chef and like proof of like them. If you're paying for a 5-star restaurant, they should have a 5-star chef, and they should have trophies and awards, and you should be able to read about them other places other than their salesperson talking to you about how great they are. Meanwhile, you do some research on them and you can't find them, or they suck balls. So that's just something to take into consideration. One other story. So 2 months ago, there was a guy who I'm not going to say the name of the company either, but similar situation. Now this is a weird one because he hired an overseas team, not even in India or Pakistan or the Philippines, or it was a company in Ireland, and these morons actually, because they had a staging version of his site, right? It was a staging version, like a build out version of his website, and the staging version of the site was live, crawlable, and had a working cart. And he had parted ways with them for over a year. But for some reason, like his brand name, like these guys were actually ranking for his brand name from the dev site, from like the staging site. And people were ordering on the staging site, placing orders, and the staging website was collecting payments. Who was getting the money? Because he wasn't. But he was getting angry emails from people about, hey, I ordered online. Where's my order? Right? So you think that helps? You think that helps a company? No. So essentially, we got paid a couple grand to come in and clean his stuff up, and we were able to get that taken down. We were able to get a bunch of other like just really sloppy work from that other company taken down. And I want to say like he paid us $3 grand to like come in and fix this. And I think that $3 grand made him roughly 85,000 that month. Because like his website started showing up again, and like he was able to do a bunch of stuff, and like we got all the so whatever, man. Like it's like, take care of your business. Don't hand it off to anybody else, and like do the research. Like if it doesn't feel right, like I understand like some people have really good salespeople, but like if they can't answer your questions, be afraid. Also, if they're asking you to like hand over stuff, or they're just telling you they're going to do it all for you and you don't need to worry about it, you should probably worry about it, or at least get the logins and stuff for it. So anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, whatever. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.